Wednesday night edition live show of He Said, She Said. We were debating on it because we've both been in poor health, this past week with this lovely season of, flu and plague and purify it with fire type of stuff. And my co-host he's still Typhoid Mary over there, which is why he's across from me and not breathing in my direction. Almost missed the intro because I had to run and get him some cough drops out of my office. You always got to be prepared like a Boy Scout. No dying. Okay.
No promises.
All right, so the topic tonight is a touchy one. Something I've kind of dealt with all my life, every relationship I've ever had, simply because I've always been friends more with guys than girls, just because most of the time there's a lot less drama that way. That's just my personal history, my personal past, my personal preference. So we're going to discuss, pros and cons or whatever, friends of the opposite sex, where that leads with when you're single, and then what happens when that transitions from you're single to in a relationship. Whether that's married, whether it's, dating, whether it's, whatever you want to call it. But we're going to go into, how that's going to factor in. I'm sure everybody has a different opinion. I'm sure everybody, sees things a different way. So this is just, basically going to be the perspective, from he said, she said, him and I. If you have any comments, questions, anything like that, absolutely. You can message us on Facebook. You can even post it on our Facebook page. Get in contact with us, on our personal cells if you know those. For, obvious reasons we don't give those out over the air. And then, Jer, station phone, because you've got the postie over there.
Oh, shit. Hang on a second here. It's 765-705-4371.
Right. Now, we do not have it to where we can get the phone calls online just of yet, or on the air, but we can talk to you and, bring those out. So if you want to go ahead and bring up our Facebook page over there. Or on one of the screens, that way you can kind of flip back and forth.
Give me just a second.
Yeah, and then we can go from there. That way we, just make sure that everything's on the up and up. We've been, trying to get everything going, and we come in here today, and the computers were all, we've updated. So that's why we're, on later than normal, because the computers decided, well, we're just going to take our sweet-ass time on loading everything up. So, when it says, it'll be 5 minutes, you can expect 15 or 20. That's just, right. I love Windows.
Well, and it's not just us, but the station head's been down too, so he hasn't been in here in days.
Right,
so
right.
This is me walking in and being like, oh, look, I vaguely recall this shit from when we had the power outage.
Yeah, so it's basically, running around here like a plague upon your houses, and I'm about to purify everything with fire.
I'm okay with it.
Literally need a dragon, just a dragon to hose me and everything around me. Like I've been Lysoling everything. Like I tell everyone, you come near me and I'm gonna mace you with Lysol. I'm not playing anymore. I don't want to be sick again. I don't want it. I was basically Lysoling myself.
Right.
Just everything I touch, Lysol Clorox wipe. My husband's like, as soon as you get out of the bed, I'm hosing it. I'm like, I'm good with that. Like, because we don't need to spread it. We don't. The only thing is like when you use a Lysol spray, because of my asthma, it like chokes me up. So you have to wait till I leave the room.
Right.
So, and then have to wait till the fog clears out if I do it before I go to bed. So, but everything's been like, nope, So, and then as soon as I got feeling better, it was like, oh God, now the house is a mess again and got to clean that up. And yeah, good times when you're sick. It's just like this snowball of bullcrap. But here we are. We're trying to make it, and trying to make it through Christmas as well, which, because that's not stressful at all. Trying to get all that done, and and helping out with certain charities and things like that. So it's like, well, I need 4 of me. But that's okay. I am the Christmas elf, and I am wearing my elf hat, and so we are fine. So, being that we started late, I will leave it up to the co-host that's running the board on when we take our first break, because we usually do like a short intro type of a thing. We might as well just stick with the...
Yeah, we can do you want to do a quick break real quick, be That way we'll get our ads in for the hour.
Yeah. Well, we'll go ahead and do that, and then as soon as we come back, I'll quit rambling, and I gave her a little bit of our backstory and why we both sound, like typhoid Mary, and then we'll get back in with the
blame you.
Friends and relationships. Don't you blame me?
I'm blaming you. It's your fault.
It's not my fault.
I don't know why or how, but it's your fault.
It's not my fault.
It is your fault.
It's not my fault. It's your fault.
How's it my fault?
Because you're worse than me.
So it had to
have come from you. True. No, I mean with the plague you've got, the plague upon your house there. Mine was I just ran a fever, but then my body.
Well, you were the Trojan horse because you never got it as bad as I did.
Well, I heal faster. My body's just built like that.
Okay.
No, seriously, I do. Like if I get a sickness, it's faster, but it doesn't make it any nicer. It's just I felt like my body. I'd been hit by a truck for a few days. Like no, body doesn't get out of bed. 12 hours sleep, not enough. Sleep again. Sleep again. Yeah. So all right. Well, we'll be back in just a few minutes.
All right.
Those of you that hadn't just now tuning in, our show tonight is on friends with the opposite sex. Is it okay? Is it not? And reasons, pros, cons, either way. When you're single, I mean, that's an easy thing. You can be, anytime you can be friends with whoever you want to, but it's easier when you're single because there's no one, there's no jealousy, there's no questioning, there's no insecurities, there's no anything. It's just you and your friends. Then you decide to get into a relationship, which awesome. Then things might get complicated. Not because there's anything, weird going on. It's just sometimes a spouse or significant other can be uncomfortable, I guess, with said friendship. Or boyfriend, girlfriend, whichever the case may be. I don't think there is a problem with it, honestly. But, things I've written down, it's the first question is, should you stay away from a friend if both of you are in a relationship, one of you are in a relationship, doesn't matter. Should you stay away from a friend if one of the significant others is uncomfortable?
I think it depends on what they're uncomfortable about.
See, I just, I've kind of been in a position where I've had to stay away from other friends of the opposite sex just because of jealousy and insecurity. And I don't think you should have to. That's just my own personal thing. It's if there's insecurities there, there's other reasons other than that. And that's what needs to be dealt with, I think. What do you think?
I think it depends on what the issue is. I mean, I think every issue is a case-by-case basis. There's probably extenuating circumstances to everything. I mean, unless it's somebody that's just jealous all the time.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying.
And if that's the case, well, fuck them. You don't need them anyway.
Right. Well, what I'm saying, though, is the extenuating circumstance. That's what I was saying. Like, that is what needs to be addressed. If someone being friends with someone of the opposite sex, just friends, if that's causing you to be uncomfortable or upset, you got to figure out why it's making you upset before anything else.
Right.
I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I mean, and I can't say, that I haven't, looked at my husband and been like, well, who's this on your Facebook page? Like, but it's okay to be friends with someone of the opposite sex. It's just, there have to be boundaries.
Yeah.
There have to be boundaries on both sides. And I understand that. If you're in a relationship, that is your main focus. And honestly, I think if it's going to cause damage to your relationship, you might have to step back a little bit, but I don't think that you should have to give up friends for a relationship. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And my thing on the boundaries is like, okay, boundaries are set up. Who gets to set those up? Now, is that something that you want to set up with your friend, or is that something that you're going to allow the spouse or loved one or whoever to set up? And I know this is a touchy subject, and it's for a lot of people, and I'm not. Please don't think anyone that this has anything to do with anything. This is just a topic that we've kind of dodged for a while just because we didn't want to upset folks, make folks uncomfortable, that we know that are going through this right now. But this is just in general we're speaking. So, who should be the ones to set the boundaries on that?
On the friendship?
Mm-hmm. Should it be the friends that set it up, or, should it be the spouses that say, well, you can hang out with each other, but only when we're there?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that would depend on what you mean by boundaries, like, when y'all hang out.
Yeah, well, that, and, I mean, I've literally heard people going, well, you can't be friends with them now because we're together. Like, that's control.
Yeah. That's
not friendship. I don't...
Yeah, it all boils down to a trust issue.
Yeah.
That's what it all is.
And that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's got to be, it's trust. I mean, if you don't have the trust in your significant other, then, I mean, that has to deal with more than just a friendship. That's coming from somewhere else. Whether it be insecurities from past relationships or, just different things. It's like you can't always bring that forward into a new relationship if you want it to work. Now, I'm not saying that, hey, it all has to be rainbows and sunshine and you all just have to get along like one big happy family. That's not ever how it works. But, I think if you come into a relationship knowing that this person has a very, very good friend of the opposite sex, then, that's something that you have to be a little more understanding of. And you can't say, you're not allowed to be friends. Like I said, my husband has friends of the opposite sex that, they were friends before him and I got together, and they're still friends. It doesn't mean I want them to, go out to dinner or something because I want to go out to dinner, but we can all go out together, and that's fine. It's... Yeah, I understand the area of, well, I don't want you guys going out, hanging out by yourself or something like that. Because, that's, people talk. That's just the nature of the world. And new relationships especially don't need added stress.
Right. But,
I don't know. I think maybe, if boundaries are to be set, something like that, I think it should be set, all of you sit down and have a talk. Like, okay, this is what makes me comfortable. In a perfect world, all sit down together. This is what makes me uncomfortable. This is why. How can we fix it? Can we all be grown-ups? Can we all sit down and talk? Can we all be friends?
Well, that's the way it ought to work, too.
Yeah, because, like I said, most of his friends are my friends, too, and vice versa. Even if they weren't before, they are now.
Right.
So... And I like it that way. Like, I don't like conflict. Honestly, I don't like it when people don't like me. So... It makes me feel...
Well, you're a chick like that, so,
Well, I don't even think it's a chick thing.
It totally is.
Is it? Because some chicks don't care.
It totally is. Well, they say they don't care, but they care.
I didn't used to at all.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Seriously,
I didn't. I know, that's fine. Yeah, I didn't care, but now I do. Yeah, it's a chick thing.
No.
Guys, we don't give a fuck. We really don't.
No, like I said, I didn't used to, but that's because I was an asshole for a long time, and I think that's part of it. Like, when you get that asshole
See, we would have gotten
mentality,
along better when you were a total asshole.
Probably not, because I was a bigger asshole than you could ever dream of being.
Oh, see, now we'd have got along great. It'd have been perfect.
God, Cootie Bug, both of you, get the hell away from me.
He
just walked in his room
Did he come
and
in here with the
coughed at
blight?
me.
Out with the blight! Out with the blight!
I will purify that shit with fire. I am not
Where's
playing.
my lighter?
Where's the
Where's
fucking
my lighter?
Lysol? I'm not...
Get the lighter.
Go in the office and get the Clorox wipes and wipe your whole face
Aquanet
down.
and the lighter.
I'm going to dip him in Clorox. I'm not playing. Babe, get it ready when we get home. And now he's over there dying. He got excited, got to yelling, and now he's going to die. But that means I can talk and say what I want, and he can't rebuttal right now.
Think so? Watch this. Dropped your mic.
Like we said, is it, does it boil down to just a trust issue? And the other thing is...
Quiet, woman.
Oh, you can try that. That's fine. Are these things the same for same-sex couples as well?
It's common fucking courtesy.
What is... You are making absolutely no sense with those. You're just over there hitting buttons.
Shit. No, yes, it should be the same. It should all be common courtesy is what I was getting at.
Oh.
Sorry, when I missed a couple, I was aiming for some of the cart wall that actually would have applied and missed some stuff while I was coughing.
Because they're same-sex marriages too, or, but then it's crazy. It's like, because, okay, say you're a gay male and you have guy friends, but then you get a boyfriend And he's like, well, you can't be friends with them, whether they're hetero or not.
That's 9 ways of fucked up. That's what that is.
So it's, it just makes it crazy. It's like I don't think anyone should be allowed to tell anyone who they can and can't be friends with. That's my personal opinion. I've been down
don't
that
you
road.
Think, I agree with that, but I look at it too like, I had, when I got married and we moved to Yorktown, I pretty much, just distanced myself from everyone and everything.
Yeah.
Out of respect, so that, it's not something I was asked to do. It was just something I done as a common courtesy, just
right.
to keep myself from being in a position where my ex-wife would ever have to think that there was something going on.
Right.
So I think.
But then you find yourself now where you're trying to repair friendships.
Well, yeah, but don't you think that that as an individual, don't you think at least a slight degree, you have a responsibility to, make sure that you never cast doubt on whether you are doing anything or not.
Right, and that's what I was saying earlier.
That's what I was looking at.
But then, but is that going to lead you into this relationship as always having to prove your loyalty or your fidelity?
No, because
I'll
just
prove
cut off
to you
ties.
I'm loyal because, you just gave up everything. Why do you have to give up everything?
I didn't have to. I chose to.
I'm just saying. But why?
So that there is at least one thing that I could always, say that, hey, you never have to worry about my faithfulness.
Okay, but that goes along the lines of, it's seclusion and,
Yes, it was. Because at that time, when you're in a marriage with somebody,
choice, and that's fine.
Yeah, it was me and her against the world, and it didn't turn out too well, but, it happened.
It's him and I against the world, still, but we both have friends. And,
right.
Neither one of us has said or asked or ever said, give up on this friend. Now, if it is...
No, it wasn't. It was
if it's a friend that...
it was
if
just
it's a friend that I
geographical
think...
dislocation.
Right. And I think if it's a friend that I think might cause a problem, then yes, I back away. Because I don't want, my husband to ever think there's a doubt. You know what I mean? If there's a... I have a couple friends I don't speak to now because it's, it just got weird. And so I just backed away. And that's just my choice. Like you made the choice to move to York, and my choice was, okay, that's weird, that's questionable, and I just don't want there to look like there was doubt, so I backed away.
Right.
And my things too is if they're really your friend and you've backed away for a relationship, or whatever, then they're still going to be your friend. Like I'm the type of friend that, say one of my best friends gets married, it's a guy, and the wife's uncomfortable, so they don't talk. That's fine. You can go 2 years without talking to me, send a message and be like, hey, I need to talk. Guess what? I'm still your friend. I'm still there for you.
Right.
That's just the way I am. You don't have to contact me every single day for me to know that, we're still friends.
Right.
I'm not the type that would get butthurt either, that if someone, was in a relationship and their spouse or whatever was like, hey, I'm uncomfortable with this, I'm the type that I'd be like, cool, that's cool. I get it. I understand. That's just how it is.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I guess you can argue everything 6 ways to hell and come back with, points of pros and cons on both ends of it at that point. Oh, no. Are we past our break?
I don't know. You want to take another one?
Well, I'm trying to kind of stick with the schedule so we don't get in trouble. And I know we started late, but I'm trying to, stay with the same break schedule, I guess, if you will. Quarter till, quarter after, all that shit.
Oh, yeah. We can go ahead and take another one if you want.
Okay, well, let's do that. We'll play a couple extra songs, maybe. And then we will come back on and discuss this more. And hopefully someone can take a cough drop over there and not die. So we'll be back shortly.
You're trying to kill me with this topic is what's happening.
You're welcome. All right, welcome back. We are talking about friends with the opposite sex, or I guess if you're in a same-sex relationship, the same sex. We were talking about that. I like my son's philosophy on it. If I was dating a guy and he told me that I couldn't be friends with this person, I would just tell him to go get bent. So I like that. But as you know, we're talking about like in actual adult relationships where you have to think about more than just 1, 2, or 5,000 things all at once. We're saying whether do you give up a friend or not, and so and my thinking is and some of these are questions that that I was asked is, okay, say you do you walk away from those friends, are you setting a precedent for the rest of the relationship for that person to be able to, say not just friends, but, well, I don't like this, so you're not going to do it. I mean, does that make sense of what I'm saying there? Is like, are you setting a precedent by saying, okay, I'll just walk away from everybody, to make you happy, or make you comfortable, or make you never have any doubt? Are you setting yourself up for something? There's, I guess.
I didn't think I was when I done it. I mean, she never asked me to either. So,
right.
It was never anything that, she conscientiously said, hey, don't go. It's just something I done. It's just
right.
I felt I had
I
a
know her. She's super
responsibility.
sweet, and I love her to death.
Yeah, I felt I had a responsibility, so that to never put myself in the position where she'd ever have to doubt that.
Yeah.
And for her never have to question it. So
right.
That's why I done what I done now.
Well, what I'm saying is for people that ask that, if
for
there's
people
a really
that ask,
yeah, there's
hey, I need you to please. Well, I don't know. I guess that's up to the individual.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is when you do say you relent and say, fine, I'll give up my friends. For those people that are in the relationships where they ask, like, you and I have been fortunate enough to be in relationships where that's not the case.
Right.
But for those relationships, and I've seen it happen, where it's been put to them, well, basically it's the friends or me.
Yeah, well,
and you finally, and those people will cave and say, well, I want my relationship because I don't want to be lonely, blah, blah, blah. Are you setting yourself up?
Yes,
are you setting a precedent? And that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yes, they are, because the first time you give ground, that's it. I was just lucky enough that my wife didn't want, or my ex-wife didn't want me to give ground, or didn't require me to give ground, or however you want to put it.
We have a listener saying the mics are off.
So.
Oh, and they're back on. Never mind. But yeah, it's, sorry if anybody missed anything, if the mics were acting up, I don't know. But, yeah, I think if you do that, you're setting yourself up, basically. You're setting a precedent for the rest of the relationship for that person to be like, oh, well, you did that, so I'm just going to dictate that you're going to do this, and you're going to do this, and you're going to do this, and that's not healthy. That's not healthy at all. I think if it's your own choice and you're like, you know what, in the way I feel about relationships, I want to go with, what I feel makes everybody more comfortable, what makes, yourself more comfortable. I don't want there to be doubt in a relationship, so I would probably be the one that would back off just a little bit, like you did. Like, okay, then I'm going to back off from this person or the situation, and do that. But then again, I'm not like most people, and I know that. And I also wouldn't want to be the friend that causes a conflict in a relationship, So if I knew that, say one of my friends got married and then his, girlfriend or whatever would say, look, I don't want you hanging out, I'd be like, okay, you know what? I'll make it easy for you. I'll back off, not a problem. But that's just the way I am. I guess it's the way I was raised. Like, I don't know. I mean, marriage to me is very important. But that being said, it's also not important enough for me to sacrifice myself anymore. Been there, done that, over it. I wouldn't be with a person at this point in my life that tried to tell me who I could and could not be friends with.
Right.
I'm glad that, like I said, the both of us were fortunate enough not to have that.
Right.
So, let's see. I'm just going through some of the questions and stuff that were brought up.
I know it's a bad day whenever you walk in and you have notes.
Yeah.
Especially over something like this.
Yeah. Well, this is not something that I want to just go in, like, blind, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's kind of, like I said, it's a touchy subject.
Yeah, we've danced around it for a while.
Right, right.
I would have preferred you had hit me on a day when I was feeling, well
see, that's
to,
why I hit you on this day, that way.
Thought, but
yeah, that way it's like, you just like, okay, whatever. and we that way we could just do it, get it out of the way.
Honestly, I was kind of hoping you were going to come in and talk about like making popcorn tinsel for a Christmas tree or something.
Well, it was brought up to me that why don't you talk about Christmas stuff? I'm like, no, not today. Simply, like I said, because this one has been hanging over, and I got tired of treating it like it's a bad thing, like it's a taboo thing. I got tired of it. Like, you know what? Rip a Band-Aid off. If people get upset, they get upset, and I'm sorry. That's why we have open communication lines. If you get pissed off, tell me you're pissed off. If you get upset, tell me you're upset. Like, we'll deal with it. If you have other beliefs on it, hell yeah, hit one of us up. So, it's nothing personal. It's anything like that. It's just a topic that was brought up by a listener a long time ago, so we're going to go with it. Okay, so... Alright. And then again, I guess, if this does set a precedent for the rest of your relationship or whatever, is that something that you're comfortable with, that you can live with? Personally, me, no.
Well, you set the precedent, didn't you?
No, what I'm saying...
No, in that way, the way that you put it, said, if you do that and you set a precedent, are you comfortable with the precedent you just set, right? Isn't that the way it's phrased?
Well,
I'd hope you're comfortable with comfortable with the precedent you just set, because you just set that motherfucker.
Well, what I'm saying is, what we talked before, if you let this person choose who you can be friends with, you're setting that precedent. Are you going to be comfortable with that for the rest of your life, pretty much?
Oh, shit, no.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, no. And if that's not, then, there's reevaluations,
still
guys.
Weak individuals that would let people do that for them.
Right. And honestly, guys, like, if you have to ask that question, you already know the answer. The answer is no. You're not going to be comfortable with it. It's not going to be okay. Not ever. So deal with it. Your relationship's either strong enough or it isn't. Mm-hmm. So that's that. We already dealt with that. Will that lead you always having to prove your fidelity? I think if you allow someone to make those choices, then yeah, it's going to constantly be, well, if you love me, you'll do this. If you love me, they'll do that. That's bullshit. Just straight out bullshit. If you love someone and they love you, that will never, ever, 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 ever come up or be said. Because you wouldn't do that or say to that to someone you love.
Say it again.
If you have someone that is constantly saying, well, if you love me, you won't be with this person. If you love me, you won't talk to this person. If you love me, you'll do this. If you love me, you'll do that. If you love someone, that should never, ever even come out of your mouth.
Right. Well, it's not about love at that point.
That's manipulation and control. Yeah. And I've seen so many people do that. And honestly, and you're going to love this because it's going to be on recording, but honestly, the majority I see that comes from women.
Women, yeah. I was
some
say
men,
that, but I'll let
some
you
men
say
do
it.
that. Oh, trust me.
Only the big bitches.
But
only the bitches.
Mostly, yes. That is the case. And I'm just like, oh my God. Now, this was a question that kind of stuck with me because I was like, I think it kind of could be both. Mm-hmm. This process and this thought process that we're on right now. Is this an issue that's brought on, by our society that we live in today?
Okay, hang on, hold up. Trying to keep up
I know
with
you
here.
got snot brain.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep up with you. The thought process we're on right now about which thought process? I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep up with you.
That it's taboo to have a friend of the opposite sex.
Okay, that it's taboo. Okay, go ahead.
Is this brought on by today's society that we live in? Or, just that we're hanging on to old-fashioned beliefs? If you go like Old Testament, Bible, and you take the wedding vows and all that, it's you forsake all others, parents, everybody for your spouse. And that's like the old school belief that kind of where I'm thinking, that's where my brain goes when you say old school, and like the June Cleaver type of a thing. June and Ward, baby. Or is it, just, I would think anymore with our society, the farther we go along, that it would be more open-minded than it is, and it's just, it isn't.
Yeah, I don't think it's a society thing, and I don't think it's a biblical thing, or what.
You think it's more of an individual?
I think it's an individual thing. I think the taboo is because, let's face it, if I had to make it is always going to be on a case-by-case basis.
Right.
Okay, let me break it down, I guess.
Okay.
Can men be friends with women? And can women be friends with men and it be... Well,
just friendship?
Yeah, just friendship. If I had to make a blanket statement, I mean, if I had to answer that unequivocally, I would say no.
Why?
Well, now let me finish.
Okay.
It would have to be a case-by-case basis. I think saying no, they couldn't would be a pretty good rule of thumb. Because in order for, men and women, to build a friendship or anything, there comes a certain, and I hope in my fucking snot head I can get this thought across.
I will
right.
give you some slack and leave with because you have a snot head.
It takes, there has to be some sort of attraction for, in either in mindset or whatever, for people to form a friendship to begin with. Yeah, this ain't going to come across right at all. You know what? Let me just pass on that because I can't. This is why I didn't want to do this with me being
That's
sick.
okay.
I can't get where
See,
I want to go.
to me though, whether it's friendship, whether it's love, whether it's anything, it doesn't
Jesus,
matter.
I wish we'd have done this next week or last week.
Well, you never know. We may have a continuation.
Yeah,
Who knows?
I think we're gonna because I can't. Shit.
Well, my thinking on, like I said, it with friendship, whether it's love, whether it's relationship, anything, to me, it doesn't matter whether it's a man or a woman. It's just who you can talk to, who you can, feel, I guess, safe with around, and not worry about, because I get where you're coming with some of the guys who want to be your friends, but they're not really just wanting to be your friends. They want something more, but they're gonna veil it with friends.
That's not even what I was getting at.
But
it's,
it's
I'll try to explain it more during the break when
It's
like after
I'll help you figure out the wording of it when you explain it, but it's who you can be comfortable with and be your true self with.
Right.
Hang on.
But
What is absolutely not true? Had a listener say absolutely not true. If you could explain that to me a little bit more, that would be amazing. But I think that you can be friends with the opposite sex, like I said. But because to me, it doesn't matter what's between your legs; it matters what's just in your head and your heart. And that's where I'm at with friends. That's where I'm at with relationships. I don't believe it. You're wrong either way. It's just who you fall in love with. I'm married to a man because that's who I fell in love with. It has no bearing on whatever in this day and age, and I love the way our society's going now, that it's not, there's something wrong with you because you're not conventional. It's just who I fell in love with. And, I have to hand it to a couple of ladies that I had. They were in a same-sex marriage, and one of them, flat said, she, yes, I'm lesbian, but my wife is not. And I was like, okay. And she said, it's not about, man or woman, it's who she fell in love with. And she goes, and I got lucky enough that she fell in love with me. And that's kind of the way I feel about it. It has nothing to do with that. It's who you fall in love with, who you can open your heart and your soul to and feel safe. So that's where I'm at. To me, it doesn't matter, man, woman, doesn't matter. Let's see here. Not true that there has to be an attraction. I think that's part of why, Jared quit saying it, because it's like it's going to be miscommunicated because you can't think of the right words right now. And I understand when your head's full of snot and you're tired and you've been sick and you're just trying to get through the day and get through the show.
I kind of counted to come in here and hear you talk about making pine cone centerpieces and shit that I could sleep through, to be perfectly honest with you.
You're welcome.
I was not expecting, this topic, much less,
Although I am feeling a little bit better about Christmas because I did get my decorations up finally, because I've been slacking this year because I've been so busy and everything else that it's just like the tree's up, my outside decorations are up. I actually took pictures, got my stockings hung up. Good times. The house looks so much prettier now. Of course, now I'm battling keeping the cats and the puppy out of the damn tree. I had to build a wall. I feel like Donald Trump. Build the wall! But my daughter laughs at me because she's like, "You built a wall again." Yes, I did, just to keep the damn Siamese cat from boot scoot boogieing and, you know, sliding like Tom Cruise into the tree skirt, bunching it all up. Like, put the baby gate up.
You know, we're gonna have to do this exact topic again, or at least part of it again.
Like a part two or whatever.
Yeah, when I can fucking think straight.
And we'll do that. We'll do it as a part 2. That way, when you can think straight and kind of, you know, communicate a little bit better.
Of course, some folks might not want me thinking straight, though. Well,
you know, it's more fun when you do, because then you're not like stuttering and stammering, and you know. And I know it's frustrating because I can feel you trying to get a thought out, and your words are broken.
Yeah,
and
it's. We're gonna take a break.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, we'll be back after. We'll be back after this break and shit.
Yep. Opposite sex, or I guess in same-sex relationships, same-sex, that's a mind twist in itself. You know, whether you're in a relationship, or when you're in a relationship. I did, during break, interpret and translate what Jeremy was trying to say, as far as where he said, you know, have to have an attraction to that person. Now, what was meant, it didn't mean like, oh my gosh, I have to think they're so cute. It's basically, there's something that drew you to that person, something that you like about them, as far as, you know, maybe you like their personality, maybe you like the fact that they understand the things that you understand, you know, or just the way that you get along. Doesn't mean that you have to say, oh my God, you're so hot, like, you need to be my friend because I like pretty friends. That's not what I meant. It was meant as something drew you to that person, as to be a friend. And that's to any friend. It doesn't matter, you know, any friend that I have, there's something about them that made me want to talk to you again. You know, past that first hello, how are you? You know, there's something that says, you know what, I like you, we could be friends. And that's what was meant by that.
Exactly.
Okay. Yay, I didn't screw it up. All right. I'm pretty good at translating. Just trying to, you know, figure it out and you know.
I can prove it with my usual flawless logic.
What the hell?
That won't get played much, but I had that on there.
Your flawless logic that you can't get out with words.
Well, you know, when I'm sick.
And we may revisit this next week for just a short bit.
I've got one just for you, though.
Oh, no.
What have you been doing? Have you been creating havoc?
Yes. It's what I do.
I'll run the fuck out of some amok with you.
Right. And like I said, next week we might revisit this topic for maybe like the first half hour, just to kind of, you know, tie up any loose ends or whatever that, you know, that he chews on and says, why couldn't I think of the answer to that, you know? Because I know that would bug me, like, I should have said that. I really should have said that, you know what I mean? Let's see.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, and I understand that. You know, he had a friend that, you know, has recently passed away. You know, which, you know, my condolences there. I know it's hard to lose somebody, especially when they're a really good friend. You know, but therein, you know, there was a personality, there was a fire or a spark that led you to be friends with this person. It doesn't mean that you found them attractive in the physical sense. It means you found an attraction, not found them attractive, but there was an attraction to personality, shared interests, you know, things like that. Yeah. But like I say, you know, sorry for your loss. You know, it's not an easy thing to get through. But that's where we were at with that one. And yeah, I understood the way it was meant. You know, with past tense. Speaking of, you know, you were thinking of that one individual. That makes sense that way. You know, you know, we've been discussing that. You know, and I believe that, you know, just me personally, and it's my personal beliefs, I don't think that anyone should have to choose or feel that they should have to choose, between a friend and a relationship. But that's a very individual thing. And like you said, that's basis to basis. It's very individual. It's very personal. It's a personal choice. It's, it's what, in your brain, how you think, is best, what you think would go. However, I don't think that anyone should put themselves in a situation where they let someone tell them what to do if that's not what they already wanted to do. You know what I mean? Had you, and I know your ex is not this way, but had, you been in the relationship and you, said, no, I still want my friends, and it was put to you, well, you can't, well, you're the type of person that would have been like, see, we're going to have to talk about that.
Right.
But, she's not that way, would never have done that. And just like my husband would not do that.
Right.
He would never ever say, you can't be friends with this person. Now, if it made him uncomfortable, he would say, hey, this kind of is weird, or this makes me uncomfortable, or something like that. But it would never be, hey, you have to make a choice.
Yeah.
Which, is a big plus. But yeah, it's, if you let someone do that to you, then yes, you are setting a precedent for the rest of your relationship. You are giving a very, very strong leash and choke collar to this person. I think it would, boil down to a trust and insecurity issue, if that's the case. Somewhere along the lines, it's either it's a control issue and they think they have to have control completely all the time, or a trust issue because they have been burnt in the past. But you cannot bring those things into a current relationship if you want that relationship to end up any better than the last one did. If you want a new relationship, start new.
Right.
You can't start with all the bullshit from everything else. That, like we've both said, that is a very, very, very individual thing. I'm not saying that, people should just be like, screw you, I'll do what I want, because a relationship's a two-way street. There has to be give and take.
Right.
But there can't be, I can't think of the word, I don't want to use dominance, but it can't be such a control factor. You're both adults. You can make up your own minds, make your own decisions. But like I said, it's really up to you and what you, as I've been told many times, it's all you and what you're willing to put up with and what you are willing to tolerate.
Yeah.
That's, it's how that is. If you're willing to tolerate someone, basically controlling your life, I mean, that's just the way I see it. That's okay. But then again, that's only if the person sits there and tells you, you are not getting out this person. I'm not saying that if you choose in a relationship to step away from people to make your relationship better, because we've both done that. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because that's your own personal choice. That's an individual basis. What I am saying is if you have someone in your face telling you, you're not going to do this, that's where it's going to be a problem, because there's a reason. Why? Either it's a trust issue because of this, or you're feeling guilty because you have a friend of the opposite sex that you feel a little bit more than friends with and you don't want that person to do it.
Right.
You're flipping the table.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's where that is. So, since we are going to revisit this, if you don't have anything else to add to it, then I think this last little bit of our show, because I know we've got another break we've got to take here.
Well, we can do another hour. Technically, we it started until like 20 after, so we can go as late as you want.
Yeah, I'm still figuring 9 o'clock is good.
Okay, well, no, about the only thing I got to add is, it's up to the individual to decide what works for them and what they're going to put up with. Be happy, and be true to yourself. Be happy however you choose to be happy. You do you, I'll do me. Fuck the rest of it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. If you do, you do.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
I'll worry about me and mine. Yep.
You got to be true to yourself first, because if as in the words of RuPaul, if you don't love yourself, how in the hell are you going to love anybody else?
Right.
I love that. The line. I mean, I watch RuPaul's Drag Race with my son all the time, and that is the one line that I really, really love out of it. And it's true. It doesn't matter who you are. If you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love anybody else? You can't. You have to learn who you are and love you before you can let anyone else love you. And that's just, that's anyone. If you don't know enough about yourself to know what you're comfortable with, what you're not comfortable with, what you'll tolerate and allow and what you won't, you best figure that out.
No, and it's up to you to decide what, if somebody comes to you and says, hey, I have concerns about this, then, I guess it's up to you, how you choose to deal with it, what's important.
Right, and
like
honestly,
that, so.
I mean, if someone comes up to you and says, hey, I have concerns about that,
that's different than saying,
that.
Don't do this, don't
right,
do
I respect the shit out of that, because that is them being vulnerable to you. That is them trusting you and saying, here's my heart, and I'm going to tell you this is how I feel, whether I have reason to feel that way or not. I feel this way, is this something we can fix? Is this, how do we deal with this? That I respect the shit out of, because it takes a lot for someone to open up and be vulnerable that way. For them to say, I'm not perfect. For them to say, I'm worried. Or, I know I shouldn't be, but I'm uncomfortable. That's a strong person. That takes a lot for someone to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if they have a right to be,
Yeah. So, I mean, and whether they have a right to be or not, it's like, if they're telling you, I feel this way, that's vulnerability, and that's a good trait to show that they can be vulnerable with you. That shows you that they do trust you enough to be vulnerable with you. Because I would never say that to someone that I didn't trust. I would never walk up and say, look, I'm going to put my heart on my sleeve here and tell you I don't know why I feel this way, but I feel this way, and it bothers me. Like, that's putting yourself out there. And I respect that.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's just how I feel on that. Like, if someone comes to me and does that, then I'm going to be like, you know what? You trust me and you respect me enough to open yourself up and, tell me, how you honestly feel about something, whether you look good or not.
Right.
So, there is that. So, basically, what I want people to take away from this is, like we have said, it's individual basis. It's, as long as it's not a control issue, I don't see that it's, something that, is a bad thing. Like, you choose who you want your friends to be. I don't care who they are. I don't care if it's man, woman. I don't care. Drag queen. I don't care. It's whoever you want to be friends with. You have the right to be friends with them. Mm-hmm. If it's something that makes you uncomfortable, maybe that's something you have to address within yourself before you address it with anyone else and figure out why. So, I mean, I think right now, unless there's any other questions, I know, do you have anything to add, Bub? So my son's sitting here, so, I guess we can talk about a lighter subject for the rest of, the show.
Okay.
Or
Did you want to take a break before we do
let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and take a break, listen to a few more really cool songs, and then we will go from there.
All right, we'll be back right after this.
Sex, and we kind of wound that up, and we will be revisiting that for at least a little bit next week, just so my co-host can, wrap his brain around things when it's not full of, snot and cootie bugs and the plague. Yeah. What I do want to talk about, too, is another issue that it really frustrates me because of working with different charities, especially around Christmas time, is the fact that this happened recently. Saw it on Facebook and everything else, and I will not mention names. A lady got toys from a charity and instantly went on different rummage sites and everything else trying to sell those toys.
I didn't see that, but I heard about that because that's a local charity, isn't it?
That's one of our locals.
Yeah.
And I was very upset because this is one of the local charities that I donate to and that I help with.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very upset. Very near and dear to my heart. Mm-hmm. And even with other charities, I help, my son's dad is really active in Christmas charities and stuff, and I help with, wrapping the gifts and things like that. I do stuff like that. But anything I can to help, and it just, because, in the past, I've been fortunate enough to be on the receiving end of those things. You know, when I knew, you know, single moms, short Christmas, you know, things like that,
Right,
you know, they've
right.
been amazing. And when I had the foster girls, you know, because it was like,
Yeah.
you know, last minute stuff of, oh, okay, I've got these gorgeous 2 little girls that, I gotta get Christmas, you know. So
And I bet she didn't even have kids, did she?
I don't know,
I was told she didn't even have kids.
but she,
Well, she had kids, but she didn't have her kids.
yeah.
If that tells you anything.
Hang
Fucking
on.
people.
Where the hell did that just go? I gotta see if that was a text message.
That's what I'd heard anyway. That, you know,
Yeah. Okay, well, if you just messaged me, I did not get that, listener. It did not come through. Let me see here. But, you know, I don't know if it was that or on the page or what. Anyway, though, you know, I think well, there's a special kind of hell for people like you. However, and I know she didn't do it out of the goodness of her heart. I know she did it because she got all kinds of heat, because when one road site in one town would catch on to her and report her, then she'd go to another one and then they'd report her. I mean, like every site around this county reported her, and she wound up returning all the toys to the charity,
Yeah.
which, great. But you only did it because you got caught. You know, let's see. I will just read that because it's a long thing on the friendship thing real quick. Something I've learned through life is that there's too much hate and division. When you can find a true friend, never let them go. If someone looks at you as a friend, never take that for granted. Be there with an attractive ear and instructive tongue if you can, and the faithful heart. Sometimes that's the best thing in the world, and what people truly need when all else fails and everything around them is falling apart. Just something I thought about, which that's really good. That's really good thought. But this person,
Attractive ear?
yeah, to listen, a listening ear,
Attractive ear?
yeah, like an ear you want.
Wouldn't that
to
be like
listen
an
to.
attentive ear?
Well, attractive ear to listen to.
Okay.
Because he's going on the like
You
attracted
know
to
what?
person.
I'll let it go because I'm sick.
Okay, this person of the charity, though,
Feel
she
like
has a
calling
son,
out
but
bullshit.
she does have a son, but she does not have custody of the kid. So
Now, is this the same woman that I'd heard? Because I'd heard there's a couple of them, and I don't know. Heard there was one of them was doing, but one of them was oh shit, what do you call that? What's the inoffensive term for being retarded now? That, whatever that is.
okay.
That's what I'd heard. I don't know if it's the same woman or not.
No, this person she was just taking advantage of the charity, getting the toys and then selling, because they were
Okay,
giving
she's
out
just
nice
a
things
bitch.
like bicycles and drones and all that, and it's like, oh, a friend gave me this because they didn't need them, and I'm just trying to make some money, and oh, brand new, still in the box, want $50 for it for something you got for free, like, yeah, you know, and I know personally what
See you
the
next
runners
Tuesday.
of this charity go through. I mean, they hit, you know, all the Kohl's Cash, you know, Black Friday, super duper duper sales, and, you know, things like that, just so that they can have nicer things. And, you know, so just because, you know, your parents are, I guess, for lack of a better word, poor, you know, you shouldn't go without a Christmas.
Right.
You know, and that takes a very special person. So, Terry Brunner, I love you. Just so you know. But, you know, that's just one of our local charities. There are several. But I don't know if I'm allowed to give names, so I won't. But for people to do that, like, I don't get it. I don't know where that thought process comes from. I don't know if it's just greediness, stinginess, you know, if it's maybe there's an addiction you're trying to feed. I don't know. But
Any
regardless, like, why are you trying to take away from children? And okay, you have a kid, but you don't have custody. Well, still, if you got those out of a charity thing, you can give your kid some presents for Christmas. That's what I'm saying. Like, why wouldn't you give them to your kid? If you have the kid, give them to your kid. That's like stealing from your child. That's what I see, because the charity had given them to you for that child, because you have to put the name on the list, the age of the child, all this, you know, and all that. You just took Christmas from your kid. What parent does that? What parent does that? Like, that is so far beyond the scale of ridiculous to me. Like, there has got to be something going on, or otherwise I just don't understand. I don't get it. I mean, if there's not an addiction or something, I just don't get it.
She's just a worthless piece of shit, apparently.
I mean, like I said, I'm glad that the toys were given back. But like I said, it wasn't out of the kindness of her heart, or she would have never picked them up. She would have said, you know what, I don't need those, like, give them to someone else. It was because she got blasted on social media, and I do have to say, finally
that made
a
her
positive.
change her mind.
Finally, a positive thing from social media.
I'm
finally,
really surprised that made him change her mind.
Well,
Really
I don't know if
surprised.
it was that. I think maybe somebody made her change her mind that knew her. Like, I don't know if there was a threat made or whatever, but
Yeah.
she wanted to bring it. But like I said, it's because social media.
Because last I heard about it, she hadn't changed her mind, and she was just doing her shit, and people were going to try to say that it was.
I know this woman personally. It was just brought to my attention, so I'm not going to say a name. But, yeah, basically blamed it on mental issues and needing a fix. Either way, you just took Christmas from your kid, so I don't excuse it. It's
hey,
not
I hope
okay.
it's a hot shot. I don't fucking care.
But I mean,
hope it's a hot
I am not belittling mental issues and all of that, but it's something that, you know, you have. So why this time of year with so many struggling people? Like right now, you know, you struggle to make ends meet. Everybody does right now in this economy where everybody struggles. You know, and to do that, like, at Christmas of all times. Of all times. And I know this person has a support system. There's no reason to do that.
Evidently not good enough.
No, I have a feeling with that support system, that's why things were returned. Which we can go into when we're off the air. But, yeah, I just, and that's, you know, we're blasting one person, but it happens all the time all over the country.
No, we got to blast one person at a time for all the shitbags that do it.
Yeah, well, you know, it's so many people do that. They take advantage of charities, and like the panhandlers on the roads. Oh my God, you know, it's the same people all the time, and you see them in their big ass Dodge trucks.
I remember jumping your ass at Gen Con because you no, it's okay. I was giving the steak dinner to the dog.
I did.
I was like, oh, well, if you gave it to the dog, that's fine.
did.
Don't give it to that fucking panhandler because you can't trust them fuckers anymore.
No. Well, the ones that I do not have a problem with are the ones who just, they're not asking for money. They're like, even if you have leftover food, I'm hungry.
Yeah, that's different. That's
right.
different.
Because 2 years ago at Gen Con, you know, we were coming out of Permane Brothers with the sandwiches and stuff. And my son and I had been there, and we had a lot left over because those sandwiches are humongous. Mm-hmm. And this lady was sitting outside, and all her sign said was hungry. You know, and I had this to-go box and all that. And we kind of walked on because it's like, oh, you know, like it's panhandling and, you know, whatever. And then, you know, I was like, but my son and I were talking, and we were like, man, her sign just said hungry. And we were with Jim and Angie and Chris and Heather. And I was like, well, bub, you know, I said, they're your leftovers, so it's up to you. So he takes the box and runs it back to her, you know, and hands it to her. And she cried. She was so happy to get, like, half of a freaking sandwich. Like, and those are the ones that I was like, I was never prouder of him. Like, yeah, my heart was so happy, different. Proud mama moment. And the fact that she got to eat.
Right.
And then, you know, this past year, yeah, I did. Like, the guy was sitting there, and, you know, and the most of them with the dogs, like, I've watched them, like, if you give them food, they'll feed the dog first, which is what I would do. But, you know, the fact that I literally, like, an entire steak, because they screwed it up so many damn times.
It up 3 times.
I was pissed like before, 3 or 4. 3 or 4, and I was
wasn't
pissed.
Wasn't it the Ram's Head we went to?
Yeah, the Ram in Indy. I've never had that problem out of the one in Noblesville.
It's the last fucking time I go there.
Well, the one in Noblesville's great. Been there several times. Great food, great service, great everything. This, I don't know if it's because it was Gen Con or what, but
their shit
it was not good. And, they, like 4 times. How do you F up a steak 4 times? It's medium well. It's not that hard. Like, it shouldn't be bleeding when you bring it to me. So by the time, you know, that 4 time, everyone else is done eating. I'm mad, and anyone that knows me, once I'm pissed, I'm not hungry anymore. Like, I'm mad. I'm not dealing with it. I'm done with you. And then the fact they didn't even
She
give,
ain't
they didn't
hungry
even,
anymore till we get to the food truck.
well, but they didn't even give me a discount on the meal either. Like,
No.
they screwed it up that many times. If I was a manager of a place, like, I would have been, you know what, I'm going to comp your meal. Because you can't eat it, obviously. So the dog got a $20 steak. And he was so happy. But that was it. You got all mad at me, and I was like, I didn't give it to the panhandler. You're like, what? He's like, I gave it to the dog. You're like, oh, well, that's okay then.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
We can trust the animals.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
can.
I know what the dog's going to do.
Right?
With it.
I love animals way more than people.
Yeah.
But, you know, because they're hungry. If they say they're hungry, it's because they're hungry.
Yeah.
You know? And that dog was never, oh, man. Well, I do have to say I got like 3 baked potatoes because every time they bring the steak out, they bring me another potato. So, I mean, I was carved up. But then that dog got the baked potato and the vegetables and the steak. He's like, hell yeah, fine dining. But, you know, there are so many panhandlers that ruin it for the people that really need it.
Yeah.
You know, but my thinking is, as long as I'm doing the charitable thing with a charitable heart and a glad heart, I feel better about me. What they do with it is on them. If they're a sham, they're a sham. That's their problem. That's their conscience, and that's their karma. It's not mine. Mm-hmm. As long as I do the charitable thing and be like, you know what? I was good to my fellow human. I was being a good human. Human, you know, be humankind, not human dicks.
That was being a good human.
Yeah, don't be a dickbag. You know, my philosophy in life is don't be a dick. Don't be a dickbag. I'm not going to be a dickbag. You know, if I see someone that just has a sign that says they're hungry, like there was one, very local to where we are here. I was in beauty school at the time, and we'd actually gotten extra food at Fazoli's. You know, we went for lunch, and there's this old fella, a veteran, you know, and he's just old and just skinny. You could see the bones on just sticking out everywhere, and he was just hungry, and I just handed him the lunch I just bought, like, you need it more than I do, buddy. Like, I've got a few pounds I could shed. You need some. Like, you need to eat like 12 cheeseburgers now for me to feel good. But I gave him, and instantly, like, and I gave him a drink and everything, and he instantly, like, was just wolfing it down. Like, you knew he was hungry.
Damn it, you're making me hungry. You brought me ham, didn't you?
I did. I baked a big old ham, and I brought you some ham. Yeah.
I love you.
So.
This is great.
Right. So, you know, to all of those people out there that run charities, please don't let these negative Nancys and these dickbags ruin your charitable heart. You know, continue doing it with a glad heart. You know, don't let someone else dim your shine. Don't do it. You are doing great, and you're doing the right thing, and you're being an awesome, awesome human. Don't let dickbags ruin it. Yeah. So, with that being said, everybody be nice. Don't be dickbags.
Don't be dickbags.
Yeah, we'll talk to you next week. But if I don't talk to you before then, everybody have a very Merry Christmas.
Yeah, that'll be the day after
day after Christmas.
Day after Christmas is our next show.
Yeah. So everybody have a happy holiday, a Merry Christmas, a blessed tidings to everyone.
Are we going to pre-record for next Wednesday?
We may do that because we don't know what's going on with families and Christmas dinners and things like that.
Well, I have no considerations when it comes to that. So.
Well, usually ours is Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. There's usually never anything afterwards because my in-laws live in Florida now, so we kind of do the UPS and snail mail.
Well, I'm available the day after Christmas. Then.
I probably will be too.
Which it would be next Wednesday.
Yeah, so we may do a live show just depending on.
I don't know what Kylie's schedule.
Yeah, the granddaughter situation. So.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
If I've got little beastie or not. Which she's becoming much more vocal, so it might be fun having her on here.
Right.
Say something dumb, and she'll be like, "Ah!" And like, yeah, she lets me know when I'm being retarded. She's 6 months old, and she lets me know when I'm being retarded. Almost 7. She'll be 7 months right after Christmas.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, everybody, like I said, I want everyone to have a very wonderful, wonderful Christmas, and a Happy New Year, but we will talk to you.
Is this your command?
That is my command. My command is to
Your
everyone.
Grace?
Everyone have a happy, 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 happy holiday. And enjoy your family because that's what it's about. All right. See you next week, guys.
Good night.